Hi everyone, welcome to Ijaro Tech. In this video, we're going to be looking at the part two. Yes, we're looking at the part two of audiences. Okay, and in this video, we're looking at the series which we've been on, which is the part two of it, and we'll be looking at the audience characteristics when developing a new ICT solution. Yes. Now, in this example, we are setting out to develop a new website. Remember, we talked about, in the first example, we talked about presenting software to make a presentations for an audience, right? So we're talking about, we consider using a presentation software, how we're going to make a presentation to an audience. Now, in the second example, we're looking at how we're going to um, develop a new website, and we're going to present it to our target audience. Okay, now let's go forward. Now, audience characteristics are very important. Okay, because there are certain things that we need to consider before this audience characteristics. Now we need to and one of them is the audience characteristics, because the factors regarding this audience that we want to present to is their characteristics. It's also important. Yes, we'll talk about other things, but characteristics is key. And why is it key? Because number one, we look at the age range. Okay, the age range is so important. You want to present your ideas to people that can be able to comprehend what you're passing out, the information you're passing out. Two is the income level. Okay, the income level is very important that we need to talk about, and we're going to talk about it as well. The three is the interest, and four, disabilities or impairment. So let's talk about it in details. Now, for the age range, we have very young children needs to have animations, bright colors, large font size, and sound. If they are young children, they need to have that. They need to have that animation. They need to have the bright colors, that large font size that they can see very well, and sound. For other users, they will be more interested with the actual content. Therefore, a simple, attractive color scheme, which is easy to navigate, is very important. Okay, and for income, suppose our website is selling cars. Okay, because you're presenting to an audience about the new website you want to develop. So supposing the website is selling cars, it is essential to carefully consider the target audience, the income level. Okay, this will clearly dictate which model ranges are advertised in the website. If you're talking about, is the website selling cars, you want to go to people that have the means of purchasing or investing into such project. You don't want to just, because like I said, your target audience is very important. It is very important. Remember, in part one, I talked about four things: the age of the target group, the experience, the expectations, and the knowledge. It is so important right here in the income. The next one is the interest. Okay, the interest is very important, because suppose we are developing a music website. Okay, remember, we're talking about developing a new website, and we're not specific on the kind of website we're going to develop. So it's important for us to know the interest. If it's still on selling cars, people need to have the interest. Are they going to buy it? Is it the kind of models they like? For music, they need to know you need to know the interest of your target audience. Do they like classical? Do they like K-pop? Right? Are they K-pop fans? Do they like rock music? Do they like hip hop? Are they pop? Are they pop fans? Do they like jazz music? I love jazz music. So obviously, if you're coming to me with metal or folk music or rock music, you're not gonna get my attention. But if you're going with I like K-pop, I like the classical, I like jazz, I like country, I like Western music. So if you're presenting on developing a music website to be displaying such genres of music, and you're talking about EDM and metal, well, you've lost me because I don't know what you're talking about. Okay, so it's important to know the interest of your target audience. Okay, the website will need to include articles, offers which will also reflect their music preference. The next one is disabilities. Okay, so if the website is to be used by people who are visually impaired, that they don't see clearly, then we need to use a large font size, right? Using contrasting colors, keep the language concise so there isn't much text to read, and this will include sound as much as possible. So these are the audience you need to know. What kind of audience are you expecting on your website, right? And this is so important. Now, as in the previous example, right, you could determine the characteristics of the audience who are likely to use the website by one, you're interviewing a cross section of the target group, giving out questionnaires, okay, or surveys to people in the target group to find out their background, interest, age range, and so on. Not just interviewing, but you're giving out questionnaires, right, to people in the target group to find out their background, what do they like, their interests, the age range, and so on. This will give you an idea of the kind of content you should put on your website. Okay, the last one is analyzing this data and drawing conclusions about the audience. You are analyzing, and then you're also drawing the conclusions about the kind of audience that should be on your website. Okay, the next one is why we need to consider the need of our audience. Okay, talking about the needs of an audience, of the audience. What do we need to Why do we need to consider the needs for our audience? It's important that we need to consider because number one, they are the ones visiting the website. Okay, they're the ones visiting the website, so it's important for us to do that. Now, if the audience is once is so important because we look at the young children, the adult and older children and older people as well. So once you have established the characteristics of the website, of the audience that the website is aimed at, it is necessary to understand their specific need in a bit more depth, okay, to ensure the final product is fit for the intended purpose. Because you don't want to develop a website and at the end of the day, it's not the kind of people that you want that are in there. Okay, so obviously you're not going to have more traffic, right? Or obviously the website you're building it for the company may not be very, very effective. Okay, and that's why we need to consider the needs of three different age group who would use the new website. Look at the first one is young children. If young children want to visit your website, they need something that is bright and cheerful colors. They are all about colors. They need animation, they need sound, right? They want more pictures than text. Too much of writing makes it very, very boring. Okay, it needs to be a large font and simple short words. Okay, if possible, they should include games, right? That we engage them, as much as possible. It must be easy to use. You must have that easy interactive interface. Okay, we talked about the design stage in system life cycle, and that is very, very important. Okay, if there are voice interfaces, as much as possible, it needs to be there. For adult and older children, the interactive display needs to be there, right? The content must be interesting. It requires a good mixture of text and images. Okay, careful to use appropriate language level, very, very important. Okay, because they are still adult and they are older children, you have to be careful. Use bullet points to make the content easier to read. For other people, okay, which is our grandmas and our parents, our grandparents, right? Grandma, granddad, right? You have to use constructed colors, right? Which is make it easier to distinguish words. Larger font in case of reading difficulty. Easier to use interface like touchscreen. You make the display consistent from pages to pages. Do not use too much technical language, as this may be less familiar. They may be less familiar with this. So we've seen the different age group and the need for the audience, the kind of audience that need to visit your website, and who is this website intended for? Is it intended for young children? Is it intended for the adults or older children, or for our grandmas and granddads? Okay. And finally, we'll be looking at Why we need to consider the needs of our audience? Why do we need to consider the needs of our audience? Why is it important to respectfully consider these needs? Why? And we're going to be looking at it in the next slide. One, if the audience is made up of older people or people with disabilities who have sight problems, then it is important to make sure the website has clear to read fonts. Okay. Number two, complex language can be a turn off to children or for people who have English as their second language. The text needs to be clear and easy to read for this reason. Three, it is necessary to hold the attention of the users, otherwise they give up using the website. Four, it has to be good, attractive. The screen designs will attract users to the website. Okay, and it has to keep interface clear, right, and easy to use to keep people engaged. So it has to, there should be that keeping interface. It has to be clear, okay, and easy to use. Okay, lots of typing can be very frustrating, right, as can badly design websites. Okay, so where the user seems to go round in the big circle, so you have to be careful. It should be easier to navigate, so easy and accessible to do that. Okay, so if you know your audience and understand their needs before starting to develop the new ICT solution, then it is far more likely to be successful. The idea outlined in both example applies whenever you're developing a new ICT solution or product, okay, as well as presentations or websites. This could be a new computer game, a database, or a new virtual reality system. If you know your audience and you understand their needs before you go ahead to develop that project, I promise you it is likely going to be very, very successful. And so thank you for staying tuned with us, and we've come to the end of the series. And please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Very, very important you subscribe for my YouTube channel. There's so many contents to dive yourself in to ensure that you get the very, very best out of your IGCSE ICT. Bye.